Hi, everyone. Welcome to the live signing of Katherine Schwarzenegger's Pratt's new book, Kat and Brandy. I have 3 kids and they are all obsessed. Please welcome Katherine. Hi. We're so excited.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here doing this, and I'm so grateful, Miriam, that you decided to do this with me. I am, as you know, such a fan of yours and all that you do, so this is really fun to be able to have this conversation together, and I'm so glad to hear that your girls like the book so much. It makes me so happy.
So much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to remind everyone that signed books and copies are available at premiercollectibles.com/Kat and Brandy. So the link is shown below if you want to grab a signed copy. Now is your time to do it. Yay. I'm so excited to talk to you about this. Let me just give you one little anecdote. When I was reading the story to my kids, we were going through the photos and everything, and one time my daughters rode a horse that was white, and she was like, oh my god, that's my favorite horse ever. And every time she sees a white horse, she goes, oh my god, it's my horse Winter. So
Oh, that's so sweet. I wrote it for her. That's what this just recall it. Just say it's Cat in Winter, okay? Just for your
yes,
daughter.
Kat and Winter.
Yeah, just
I
for
love
her.
it so much. I'm so excited to talk to you about this. What inspired you to turn your real life experiences with your own pony Brandy into a children's story?
Well, I thanked you for doing this. I also wanna just shout out Premier Collectibles because I've been doing this with every book that I've done with them, and they're an amazing group to work with and have such amazing, quality with their books and sending them out, and so thank you for them to them. So this book, Cat and Brandy, was based off my own, experience in childhood with my pony Brandy that I had growing up, but for me, this book is really a story about overcoming your fears. I wanted to write a book and put a book out there that had a positive message in it. And I think you and I both know how much time we spend with our children reading books over and over again.
Yes.
And also reading so many books where we're like, what is the message that my kid's going to be walking away with here? And so for
Yes.
me, writing this book and having it be about working through fears, talk about courage, talk about bravery, and also talk about, the healing power of animals is such an
Yes.
important thing in this book as well. And yes, this book is about a horse, but you don't have to be in the presence of a horse to experience the healing power of animals. It can be a dog, it can be a rabbit, a cat, whatever the animal is. Just being in the presence of an animal gives us this sense of calm and peace that so many of us cannot get anywhere else. And for me, that was with Brandy.
I totally agree. My kids are 11, 8, and 4, and my 11 and 8-year-old were like sitting there like this the first time I read it to them, because
Aw.
I remember like those feelings when you first start to feel fear and try to like overcome what that feels like. Uh, I remember myself as a child, I had a little dog and it was my support animal
Yeah.
essentially. Like that's who I put all of my, I guess, like secrets
Yeah.
into. So we all very much resonated
Yeah,
from all
and,
that.
reading this book also, I did a test run while writing this book. I read it to my kids a lot just to, get an idea of what words worked, what didn't, and also illustrations because I don't know about your girls, but my girls love the pictures in books. They ask about the pictures, they talk about the pictures, and I was so happy that Petra Brown was available to work with me on this book because her illustrations are just the perfect
Stunning.
combination of drawing animals in a really beautiful and magical way and also capturing in her images the love and in the bond between an animal and a human. And so my girls really loved it. And I read the book to them last week when I finally got my real copies of the book. And both the girls loved it, which I was thrilled by, and then asked to read it again and again. And it was
Yes.
just such a sweet experience for me to have that, and then also to see how intentionally as the author I plant these little, anecdotes or little intentional questions to come up while reading the book in the book itself, and to see them really come up naturally with my own girls, to see like "Oh, I'm also afraid of this," or "I was scared to get back on the horse and I got back on the horse," or "I was scared to ride my bike or to go down a big slide at a park, and remember that, mommy?" So this book really does have natural and organic ways to have conversations around fears and being afraid of something that are very intentionally placed in this book, and also great conversations to have after, like, you know, what does it mean to be brave, or how have you ever been afraid of anything? So as a parent, I was specific about that.
That gave me chills. Talk about a full
I
circle
know.
moment.
It's crazy.
Like, if somebody told you 15 years ago that this would be it with your own kids, we would have been like,
I
"What are
know.
you
I would have
talking
been
about?
like,
Like,
"What do
how
you
could
mean?"
that?"
Yeah, I know. It's such a fun and beautiful part of, just life, of course, but then also I did
Yeah,
my first children's book, Maverick and Me, I did before I even met my husband, before I had kids, and to see how much
crazy.
my writing process has changed, like, the way that I put out Maverick and Me is so different than the way that I would have done it today, because I know now I have 5 years under my belt of reading children's books. It's very different now. Yeah.
Very different, I agree, and I love the part where you said, like, questions come up as you read it. It's exactly what my youngest was doing. She was like, "Okay, but which one is
Yeah.
Karen? Which one is Brandy? And which one's the mom?" And
Yeah.
how like, through the pictures, which is why I think all of my kids of very different ages are obsessed with it and wanna read it every night over and over again, because they're interested in the illustrations as well as the story, which is really a beautiful thing to do for a children's book, so
Thank you.
congrats,
Yeah, I
that's
mean, it's
amazing.
also, important when you're reading to kids of different ages, which so many of us parents find ourselves doing, to find a book that's also
Yes,
interesting for all different age groups is a
yes,
great and absolutely essential bedtime hack. So
yes, exactly.
it's enjoyed by my 3-year-old and my 5-year-old, and I'm thrilled to hear that your kids of different ages
Exactly.
like it too, so.
Yeah, and it's a story that you're not just gonna read once, it's as you have even more children, it's like, "Oh, remember Kat and Brandy? Okay, let's take
My
it
god,
back out and
that's
let's read it
exciting for
again,"
me.
which is it's so
I love that.
exciting.
That's so good to hear.
It's amazing. Okay, so the book explores themes of courage, trust, and healing. What do you hope young readers and the parents will take away from Kat and Brandy, apart from everything else we've
Yeah, I
said?
mean, really, the theme of this book, there are a couple themes that I was really intentional about, as I mentioned, which was like overcoming fears as a big one. I remember when my girls first started saying they were afraid of something. This past week, it
Yep.
was Halloween decorations. And so
Oh
we
my
had to,
gosh,
like,
what
I
a
was
tough
like, wow,
one.
this book is really being tested right now because I'm like talking about fears every single night at bedtime. But I really think that, overcoming your fears was a big one, and courage and bravery. I think we hear like be brave, so much, and we want to say it to our kids like,
Yeah,
let's be brave, let's do this together, or let's go on the slide, or let's, ride our bike even if you're afraid you might fall off. So those are the themes that I really am hoping come up when reading this book. Also, just to again shine a light on the presence of animals in our lives, and not just children. Like, this is a children's book, and it is important for children to be in the presence of animals, but for us at all ages, the presence of animals is such a huge gift. And I know for me, growing up, I felt, and still as an adult, I feel my calmest and my most at peace when I'm in the presence of animals. And I had that
yeah,
definitely with Brandy at the barn. And I think whether it's in nature, or whether you're at home, or wherever you are, if you can go to where you find your peace, it's such a blessing
yeah,
to be able to know that, have that knowledge about yourself, and then to be able to implement it into your life is really important. I also wanted in this book to have the theme of having a shared activity with your child be a part of it. In this book,
yeah,
it's a mother and a daughter, but whether it's, going on a bike ride, or going on a hike, or, playing basketball or soccer, whatever that shared activity is, it can be reading books together. It's such an important thing for people to have, for children to have, with their parent or their caregiver, or their aunt or uncle or grandparent, whoever it is. But that
yeah,
the power of having a shared activity is such a profound one as well. And and I think, all of these themes are ones that I hope come up in the book, and ones that I've heard from different people that have been able to have natural and organic conversations around that, and also just, like, celebrating the unconditional love that animals provide in our lives is also another one. Lots of
I
themes
love
in
that.
this
It's
book.
music
Yeah,
to my ears. To me, it's like a connection like that is unique and
yeah,
lasting. It's not superficial. It's not something you bought. It's something that parent, daughter, and child connect through so deeply that you remember it over time. So I love that you put that messaging into the book. It is absolutely
thank you.
it's
Yeah, it's
priceless.
also interesting
Priceless.
because when parents I've done a bunch of interviews leading up to the launch of this book tomorrow, and it's interesting to hear
Yeah,
how parents are also reacting to reading this book and how it takes them back to a place of what they used to be afraid of or what they still are afraid of. And also for so many, they've read it and they've said, "Oh, it was so emotional. The ending was so emotional for me." Because I
yeah,
think if you've had that
yeah,
experience with an animal that has brought you unconditional love in your life, when you read this book, it will take you back to that place, um, and it's,
100%.
such a beautiful gift to have received that, so, yeah.
I totally agree, and I tell my kids all the time, I say, "We're all scared, we all have fears, but the important thing is being scared and doing it
Yeah,
anyways," and I feel like that's motherhood, that's adulthood, that's child, that's just anything, it's like life starts when you step outside your comfort
totally.
zone, so that connection plus overcoming your fear, absolutely love. So Brandy was a rescue
She
horse? Is
well,
that
she wasn't
correct?
a rescue horse, she was a horse that came to the barn from another barn, and so she was in the presence of me being at the barn very unintentionally, and she had this scar on her face, which I, like, was very clear with
Yeah,
Petra when she was doing Petra Brown, the illustrator, when she was writing or illustrating the book. I wanted this scar on her face to be a part of it because
yeah,
it was not only really on Brandy in real life, but it was important to me to have it be a part of this book because it tells so much about her story and my natural curiosity to just wanting to know more about her. Um,
yeah.
and yeah,
There's struggles, scars show
they do.
struggles and history, and that's absolutely beautiful that you
Yeah, they
included
do.
it.
And also it allowed for, she came into our relationship and our time together with her fear of humans because she had a
Yeah,
past and it wasn't a great one, and so she was very not she wasn't trusting of humans, she didn't like being around people, she didn't let anybody touch her face, and so she was very skittish, and
mm,
so I had
yeah,
this fear of horseback riding and, getting comfortable again, and I really think that it was her and I working through those fears together alongside one another that allowed us
yeah.
to have such a deep connection and also allow us to be brave together.
I love that so much. You kind of, like, healed
We
each
did,
other, which
we did.
is
It
so
was like a
precious.
natural course in equine therapy that I didn't intentionally
Yeah,
do, but, it definitely works.
there you go. There you go. Why was it so important for you to show that connection between animals and human healing within the
I
book?
think anyone who has experienced the healing power of animals knows exactly what I mean by just honoring that bond and honoring that celebration of having calm, having unconditional love. One of the things that I did a course in equine therapy many years ago. When my parents first got separated, my mom was like, "You and your sister, I'm going to take you guys to do a course in equine therapy." And I was like, "Oh, I got this. This is not going to be hard for me at all because I am around horses. Horses love me. I love animals. Like, it's going to be so easy. We're going to be in and out very fast." I was very wrong. And I got there, and the horse had like no interest in the energy that I was putting out there at all. And it
Aw,
really showed me, that animals don't care what you did that day. They don't care how much money you make. They don't care what
mm,
job you have or what
yeah,
you look like or what
yeah,
terrible thing you think you've done that day or any
yeah,
person that you've wronged. Animals really require you to show up as your true, authentic self. And I think that's why they have the ability to give us that unconditional love and see us for who we are. You can't fake it with an animal, and I was that day
yeah.
faking it with a horse, and it didn't go over well, and so I really had to start from scratch, and in that interaction, I had to do through a lot of patience and, calm energy, earn the trust of this
Yeah.
horse and work through a full, course of equine therapy. And it was life-changing for me. So I always encourage people to try equine therapy, to try, the exposure of being around animals and seeing the calm that comes over you when being in their presence, animals of all shapes and sizes. And just to feel that is such a gift. And so I wanted to shine a light on that in this book.
This is really speaking to me. My kids keep asking for a dog, and now I'm like, maybe they need a dog.
Dog man, we gotta get it together. You know what? You can start with a chicken. I started with 2 chickens that I have, so
Okay. Well, we will talk
yeah,
about this
we will.
later, but I definitely wanna know more
Okay.
about the chickens. I'm getting yeah, we
Yeah,
need to talk
we
about
will, trust
that.
me.
How I feel like the illustrations particularly seemed very intentional, like you said about, like, the scar, like, with the scenes with you and your mom, like, they were so intentional. How did you work with the author, to make your vision
Well,
come to life? They literally look like what you're showing there, they look like bubbles into your
yeah, I mean,
brain.
I feel so grateful. Petra Brown, I came across Petra
One of my
Brown's
favorite.
illustrations when reading her previous books to my children, and then seeing how my kids just loved their picture. Like, she does such an incredible job. And so I wanted this book to really be
Gorgeous.
one that you could, capture the beauty and like the essence of an animal in a really beautiful way, and also of human beings. And so I also wanted it to be something that kids could, like, go home and dream about. And one of my favorite parts in this book is this dream sequence of, like, the main character, Kat,
Same.
going home and dreaming about Brandy. And this, to me, was, like, really how I was growing up. Like, I would go home and just, like, dream about her and dream about animals. And so she captured
So
that
cute.
so beautifully. And also, so many other amazing pictures in here. And I would give her a description and I would say, like, the first time I want them to be in the barn together, I really, I want it to be something that is a totally different vibe. And she did such a good job and worked really well with
Gorgeous.
me to, do that and capture all of that. And then also to just capture the sweet bond between a mother and a daughter, and, their
Yes.
shared activity, of, doing that together. And then at the very end of the book, this picture here was one that I have a real picture of my horse Brandy and I that looks exactly
Oh
like
my
this.
god.
And she drew it from that picture and it looks exactly like it. And I have to say, the first time I saw it, I literally started crying because I was like, it was such a profound and meaningful and deep bond for me in my life. And then when she passed away, the most traumatic thing that ever, like, I was just devastated.
Mhm.
And so for everybody
Yeah.
who has experienced the unconditional love of an animal in that deep way, to be able to, like, shine a light on that in this book, and also have people go and remember what that was and what that felt like for me. Like, when I saw this picture, I was taken right back to what that feeling of, just having that sense of calm, having that sense of peace, especially when you're, a teenage girl or a young girl and you're in high school and you're, dating for the first time.
Going
Yeah, you're
through it.
going through it. You're like,
Yeah.
your hormones are kicking in, your body's changing, your social life is changing. All of a sudden you have a boyfriend, and, then you guys break
Yeah.
up and you experience heartbreak, like all of these different things. To be able to have a place that you could go to, for me, was, going to Brandy. And so, and also I will also just say that at the end of the book, I did put in a list um, of animal organizations that I've worked with and that have also been really amazing with, animal rescue and giving animals a second chance at life and at love, and also great horse rescue organizations, because they do such incredible work. Um, and also in the beginning part of the book, I did put, which I like doing as an author, but I did
So
this
beautiful.
letter
Yeah.
to the reader. And I included this very intentionally because I wanted the person reading this book to really understand not only the connection that I've had with animals and how powerful that is, but really to understand my intention with the themes in this book and the ones that will come up throughout reading this book, after reading this book, and really for parents to look at this as a partner in the parenting journey to navigate conversations that sometimes aren't so easy to bring up or talk about. And, when we're talking about goals for this book, if this book can be read to a child and the child feels seen in their journey or seen in their fear, and at the end of this book inspired to go and work through their fears and be brave and, accomplish whatever they've been afraid to do, this book will have served its purpose. And so it's really for people to feel less alone in their journey and parents and kids to be able to experience that. So, good book.
I love that. I feel like what it was such a unique way to read, especially like a children's book. I got the book, I opened it, and I saw what you wrote, and I read it, and then I read the story to my kids, and I was like, Katherine knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing.
I know, after, like, a little over 5 years of reading so many books every single night. I mean, my kids, I don't know about your kids, but my kids like to read so many books at bedtime. They have lately even
Mhm.
started bringing books to the breakfast table. Like, they love to read, and I just have such fond memories of reading as a child myself, and just, like, what energy and also what sweet moments that brings to a child's life, that I just
Yeah,
love being able to do it and also being a part of people's bedtime routine. It's an honor.
yeah. But that is something very intentional. I did not love reading when I was growing up, but also my parents didn't read to me. I'm from a different
Yeah,
country, like that wasn't part of our culture. So when I had my own kids, I really wanted to change that. And one of the ways that I learned to do that was to read to them at a really young age. So since they were born, we were reading books, connecting through these all these different writings, and they've cultivated a love for
that's
reading.
amazing.
So it does make a big difference. I remember being like, "Ah, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work." It
It
works.
works.
It
We're
works.
here to tell you it works. It's also, like, such a sweet time, especially when you're reading to them before bed where they're, tired
Yes.
and cuddly,
Oh,
and
ye
it's
yeah.
like,
It's when they tell you all their
I
secrets, it's
know.
my
Yeah,
favorite
and their
time.
fears. They're like, "I'm afraid of this," or "This
Yes.
happened at school,"
Yes.
they get real honest really
Yes.
quick.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what happened. So you've written several books now focused on kindness, on empowerment, and compassion. How does Kat and Brandy continue to expand on those themes?
I think it, embodies majority of those themes in one book. I have learned a lot since writing my first children's book, just even about the flow of a book or, what kids hang on to, what they don't, what matters to a child, what doesn't. I remember writing my first children's book and thinking like, "Oh, this is going to be so easy. It's a children's book. How hard can this be?" And it's like it was so eye-opening to me to see how much time and energy and effort goes into every little detail of putting out a children's book, and really any book, of course. Like, it's, a real labor of love, and so for me,
I agree.
you
I
know
agree.
that, like, think about how much time and energy your book took, which is so beautiful, like,
Oh my
it's
gosh. It
yeah, it's
bananas.
crazy.
I never would have thought. I remember an author told me, they're like, "It's a labor of love," and I'm
You're
like,
like,
"Yeah, yeah,
"Sure."
it's a labor of love."
Yeah.
Sure. How hard
Yeah,
can it
it's a
be?
lot. Yeah, and also people don't
It's
really
hard.
realize, like, I've been doing this book for 2.5 years before it's actually out, and, like
The
yeah,
time
and
that
same
it
with your book,
takes.
it's like and then you put it out, and then people are like, "So what are you gonna do next?" And I'm like, "No, no, no." You don't understand. Like, this I just spent so many years doing this book. It's like the same for your book. It's, the detail that went
Yes.
into your book. When I got your book, I was like, I can go through this and appreciate all the different like the font or the colors or the picture choice or the
Yeah.
word choice and
Very
very intentional.
intentional.
And you can tell when people really take part in that and when they don't. And I think with children's books too, it's like, you wanna be specific about the words, like, even something simple like,
Yes.
use this word instead of that word because kids are gonna respond to this word more than even though you're an adult and you think this word is better, it's actually not. So, like, those little
Agreed.
things you have to be mindful of, and it's a whole process.
I agree. I remember telling my husband, I was like, "I think we could have had 2 human beings
Yeah.
by the time it took me to write this book." I was like, "We could have 2
Yeah.
humans."
It's a lot.
But no, we had our
Yeah.
4th baby.
God bless. I love it. Yeah.
Right?
Keep 'em coming.
That was my next question for you. Like, what was the writing process for you like for this book in particular?
Totally different.
I'm sure it was healing. It must
I
have
mean,
been
it was
incredibly
special
healing.
because, I've always known that I wanted to write something based off my relationship with Brandy growing up, and I didn't really know what it would be like. When I was growing up and, around horses, being a horse girl was not this like, it's a fashion moment right now. Like, it's like everything is equestrian.
It's a
I know,
moment.
which is very
Oh,
convenient for the release of this book. I'm like, "Thank you to whoever."
I
Yeah.
just bought my 4-year-old this dress and the
Yeah,
boots, it's
it's like
perfect.
it's a
She's
horse
Kat.
girl fall just in time for Kat and Brandy
Yes,
to come out, so
yes,
it, has timed out very
yes.
well for me, but when I was younger, it wasn't like a cool thing to be a
Cool.
horse girl,
Yeah,
so I, the writing process for this was really sweet and also, emotional at times to reflect on Brandy and to reflect on just like how lucky I feel to have experienced the healing power of animals. And I really, again, I go back to that all the time. And it was really fun. When we got to the illustration part of it, I was like, okay, now this is going to be really fun because we can watch it really come to life in a different way. And then also to
yes.
now have, like, a test group in my children, I hadn't had that before, so it was like, I could
True,
go to them and be
true.
like, what about this word?" Or, "What about this picture?" Or, "Do you guys like this picture?" Or, "Is this picture scary?" Or, "Is it fun?" Or, "What do you see in this? Do you like these colors?" Like, I could really go to them with a lot of different, um, you know, questions, comments, and concerns.
Yes, you have a
I
built-in
did.
audience,
I really did.
like, the definition of a
Yeah,
built-in audience. Your
I
past
know.
experience and your future
Exactly.
experiences, like,
Yeah,
that's so
and they're very
beautiful.
honest, kids have no filter.
Oh,
So they'll
yeah.
tell it to you like it is. They'll be like, Mommy, I don't like this picture." I'm like, "Oh, great. Thank you." But they love it.
Did you in particular learn something in the process of writing it? Did it teach you anything new about courage or empathy or storytelling? I'm sure as you read it to your own kids, like, different things came up, but I'm curious if you learned anything
I
new
mean, I
from it.
think just how to navigate those conversations with your kids because my kids are at the age now where they're starting to have real fears about different
Yeah,
things.
real fears.
And so,
Mhm.
while writing this book, it allows me to kind of have a better understanding of how to navigate those conversations as a mom now. And
Yeah,
how to allow space for the fears and also the ability to give them confidence to work through those fears without forcing them to hurry up and get past them. It's always like a balance and
yeah,
a dance that we do as parents. It's like you want them to feel supported, but then you also want them to feel like they can do anything and work through those. So it's
so
like,
true.
I feel like I learned more about that process while doing this book and how
Yeah,
to navigate that, I would say.
yeah. I even, like, reading it as a parent to my kids, the questions that came up at their different ages was a beautiful conversation because the first time we read it, it was like all 3 girls in one room, and then my oldest went into her room, and it was, like, 5 minutes after we had read it, and she had a couple of questions about fears of her own
That's
throughout the
great.
day, so I went to her room. Yeah, like, she was, like,
Yeah,
thinking about it while I wasn't even in the room reading it to her, which I thought was really,
that makes
really
me so
beautiful.
happy.
You know how it is,
Yeah,
preteens are
can't wait to
tough,
learn from you.
but my preteen exactly.
So happy you're doing it first.
My preteen loves to
Yeah,
talk,
that's good though.
so
I mean, what a gift.
it's
Like,
so
it's
good.
always
Uh,
when I
yes,
look back at my childhood and also the ability that my mom gave to myself and my siblings and also my friends was the ability to come to her with
yes,
anything. And it was interesting because so many of like my girlfriends when I was in high school all went and talked to my mom instead of their moms because they
yes,
were like, "Oh, you
yes.
know, my mom had created this environment that was like
Welcoming.
non-judgmental,
Yeah,
welcoming, accepting, loving, nurturing,
Yeah.
and you could come to her with anything and everything, and she would be honest about her thoughts about things, but it was always like, "I love you no matter what, and let's talk about
Yeah.
this." So, it was such a blessing to be able to have because I think, and clearly you're doing a great job because if your daughter is wanting to come to you to talk about everything, I mean, that's like a huge accomplishment.
I feel
Yeah,
honored every time she, like, opens up to me, and I'm like, "Oh,
that's
yes.
amazing.
What do you
Yeah.
wanna tell me?" And it's very special. My middle child's a different story, so I'll let you
Yeah.
know in a few years how that goes.
Can't wait to hear.
Yeah. I feel like I mean, you and I both talk about the importance of kindness and how important it is because you don't know what other people are going through, so just leading with kindness is such a huge thing that you could do that is really like, doesn't cost anything
Mhm.
for you. So I wanted to know, like, how does that show up in your own family and life,
Well,
basically?
I was definitely raised to have that mentality of, treat each other with
Yeah,
kindness.
same.
I find myself saying it now to my girls, like, I'm sure you have this too, where it's like one
Yes.
wants the same
Yeah.
toy, the other one grabs the toy. It's like, or they
Yep.
want to wear something or do so, so I am at that phase where I'm like, treat each other with kindness. We need kindness, and it's true that our, worlds would obviously be a much better place and different place if we had more kindness, and teaching kids about the importance of that from the beginning is so important. And then also just leading by example. I mean, I find that when, we can talk to kids about everything, but really putting that on display and showing kids how to be kind, how you treat others with kindness, how you treat yourself with kindness, is the most important way and effective way to allow them to live their lives with kindness, and actions of kindness. So I think it's a big theme for us in our family, and would be helpful if it was
Yeah.
a bigger theme for everybody in their daily ways,
Yeah.
because it would be a much better world.
I agree. I agree. Well, just keep putting out kindness and these
Oh,
incredible
thank
books, and I
you.
mean, we'll get there, one person at a time. I wanna ask you one last
Yes.
question. You come from a family known for incredible achievements in many different fields. How do you carve out your own creative path while balancing such a well-known legacy?
I really look at everything that my parents and also my extended family, my grandparents, I look at all the accomplishments from my family, and I really look at them in, an inspiring way. Like, it inspires me and excites me to be able to look at everything that everyone in my family has done, and try to also put great things out there myself. I really try with, my books and my interviews for BDA Baby to really put anything and everything out there that will hopefully make someone feel less alone in their journey, feel seen, and also make the world a better place. And that's also how I was raised by my parents, to always, leave the world better than how you found it. And I try to look at what everyone in my family is doing and feel energized by it and inspired by it, and instead of feeling intimidated by it, I really look at it and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that makes me wanna do great things," all at different levels. Everybody is doing really amazing things on massive levels, and I think it's just looking at it and saying, "That's so amazing, and they're making the world a better place, and I can make the world a better place by helping out in my community, doing books, helping, have great relationships and friendships, helping people locally." So I think just doing things every day to make the world a better place, and also practicing things like kindness, is really impactful.
Yeah. I love that so much. You are definitely adding to their legacy, creating your own. You add value to people's lives, and I always say it starts at home. So, reading a story like
Thank
Kat and
you.
Brandy to your children is a small way to contribute to that. So,
Thank
I
you so
absolutely
much,
love it.
Miriam. Thank you so much
Congratulations.
for doing this interview, and your book is also available for people to get that, because it's an incredible book, and I'm so grateful that you took the time to do this, and lots of love
Of
to you and
course.
to your sweet girls.
Likewise, likewise. I'm so excited. Tomorrow's the big
Thank
day.
you, thank
Congratulations.
you.